What's up, QAA listeners?
The fun games have begun.
I found a way to connect to the internet. I'm sorry, boy.
Welcome, listener, to Chapter 228 of the QAnon Anonymous podcast, the piss-drinking vaccine police episode. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Rockatansky,
Liv Agar,
and Travis View. So I'm going to start off today's episode with a new vocab word I actually learned. It's urophagia, and it means the practice of drinking urine. I know there was a word for that.
Okay.
But now we know.
Travis, people have been drinking urine since the dawn of time, okay? Of course, there's like 4 or 5 different words for it, I think, depending on the type of urine and the type of drinking that you're doing.
The ancient Sumerians had, 99 different words for...
Yeah.
Now, it's true that piss drinking is an ancient practice, but I would argue, I'm going to make a controversial statement, is that there is really no good reason to drink your own urine. Now, some might say, well, what about a survival situation? What about you're trapped in the woods, you're in the desert, you're dehydrated, and you've got nothing else except your own product? What about them? Well, actually, I checked, and the science does not support piss drinking even when you are dangerously dehydrated, unless you treat the urine with a process like reverse osmosis. The Army Field Manual for Survival, Evasion, and Recovery actually specifically lists urine on its do not drink list, along with seawater and blood.
Well, unless you're Kevin Costner, floating on a Hobie cat in the post-apocalyptic ocean. I think then you can drink your piss if you filter it through a snake skin, I believe is what he uses. I'm not quite sure.
I can't recommend that particular process. I heard reverse osmosis. That's what supposedly works.
Okay.
But today we're going to be talking about a man who feels compelled to drink his own piss for a very strange reason, the false belief that it protects against COVID.
Great.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about a man named Christopher Key, a.k.a. Vaccine Police. So he is a fascinating character who's been reported well by Zachary Petrizzo. So Christopher Key is an Alabama-based anti-vaccine activist who gained notoriety for traveling across the country and telling pharmacists that they'll be executed for giving people shots. Though he exploded onto the scene in 2021, he has pushed worthless cures and performance enhancers years before then.
So he's also a snake oil salesman. He's got skin in the game here, so to speak.
This is true. He does benefit from people believing that mainstream medicine is no good. But as we'll see, I'm not gonna make anyone feel bad for this guy. I think anti-vaccine kind of beliefs are very dangerous, but he's also kind of like a tragic figure because somehow he's managed to catapult himself so beyond even beyond the craziest anti-vaxxers that he's totally alienated himself from the conspiracist community.
Oh no. Who will take him in?
But before we get to that story, I have to talk. We are recording this on Weed Day 420, which also happens to be the day that Daddy Elon on Twitter took away our blue check marks. Now, of course, I had one, Jake had one, the podcast had one, Liv didn't get one, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. But now it's back to the old days, like we're anybody else. It was it was weird. I never expected to get verified. I thought it was kind of silly that they verified a fake name with a stock photo AVI.
Yes, sure.
And so, back to the usual order.
Maybe Elon was right. The verified system didn't make sense. If Travis View...
Travis View.
What the fuck is this Travis
2
View?
fake names. One of them isn't even your middle name, 2 fake names, but verified nonetheless. Same with me, although I used one real name.
That's
and
true.
I am actually a lizard, so it's kind of fucked up I didn't get the verification.
that is fucked up. You sent in all your documentation, the heat lamp receipts. True story. So my brother, my younger brother and I, we owned lizards when we were, little-ish, and they were collared lizards, and we named them Raptor and Natasha because I think Jurassic Park had just come out around the time, so raptors were very much in the forefront of my consciousness. And Natasha, I guess, for like Boris and Natasha, maybe we were Rocky and Bullwinkle fans growing up. But both lizards died very, very close to one another. One died died at a pet store while we were on vacation. So I guess she died at the Lizard Hotel. And then the other one just like cooked itself to death on the rock. I think the problem was we had we didn't understand the care properly and didn't realize that you were either supposed to have a heat rock or a heat lamp. And I think we might have had both, sort of stacked on top of one another. So yeah, we weren't allowed to get lizards again after that.
He died doing what he loved, chilling, relaxing on a rock.
Yeah, a perfect 420 death.
I also want to touch on the recent leaks of classified documents by 21-year-old Jack Teixeira. He is an airman with the Massachusetts Air National Guard, and this is a very funny, very strange, very online story about a kid who got to be a real-life version of Q for about 24 of his friends on Discord.
That's usually how things go. Whenever you do the coolest thing of your life, maybe a handful of people will be around to notice. It's never what you imagine in your head of a sort of, a global, sort of praise. It's always just for a couple of buddies, some of them who you may have never met in real life.
It's for clout and Thug Shaker Central.
Yes, that's
never.
So according to reports, this guy formed a Discord channel with people he met online, some of whom are literal underage teenagers. And they met based on their mutual love of guns and video games. And yeah, they gave this Discord the problematic name Thug Shaker Central. And Teixeira posted under the name OG. And it was on this Discord that he shared a bunch of top secret documents he happened to have access to, and they eventually made their way to other Discord servers and 4chan. This story is kind of is fascinating to me because what sets it apart in the history of leaks is that the leaker wasn't motivated by ideology or material enrichment, as far as we can tell. So he did apparently use some anti-Semitic slurs and complain about government overreach, but there's no evidence that these views motivated him to give the wider public, government secrets. He just wanted the teenagers he hung out with online to know he had access to this high-level intel. The Washington Post spoke to one member of this Discord server who spoke about him in much the same way that you hear QAnon followers talk about Q. And this line I thought was really interesting.
The young member was impressed by OG's seemingly prophetic ability to forecast major events before they became headline news. Things, quote, only someone with this kind of high clearance would know.
You know what's so fascinating to me? I mean, maybe this is what you were sort of getting at, Travis, is that whoever was posting as QAnon, was doing it for political reasons. They were, maintaining that they were very, very high level, very, very high level, and none of it ended up being real. Really. Mm-hmm. And then you've got this 21-year-old kid who's not doing it for political purposes, and it's all real, and it's all real intel. It's just of course our reality is this stupid.
It reminds me a lot of the War Thunder leaks. There's War Thunder is a game for fighting planes and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've tried it. I've downloaded it a couple of times and tried to get into it, but not my bag.
It's very technical. The people who have are really nerdy about World War II fighter pilots will be into it. But there's a forum where they talk about, all of the nerdy war stuff. And sometimes, I think a lot of the times it's accidental. People will be debating some fact about the F-35 and they'll have clearance will be that's not true. That's not how the F-35 works. And then they'll post what is at the time classified information about new military technology. It's just completely non-ideological leaks related to impressing your boys on a forum.
Yeah. Much more powerful, it turns out, than any kind of political agenda. I think all politicians in the USA from now on should really run on one principle, and that's impressing the homies for clout. Can you imagine? Oh my God, we would elect 5 or 6 presidents at a time if everybody was up there just trying to chill and you seem cool in front of the boys. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, it's just also crazy to me because, it's like there, I think obviously there've been times in history where, there are people who have access to high level intel who are, who felt like it was so important to reveal government wrongdoing or government cover-ups that they were willing to put themselves at risk of very serious prison time in order to expose these facts. They had they were standing upon a principle, even a patriotic principle. It's the people deserve to know these things about what what the government is doing in their name, and that can yield some like really interesting information. But here's just, it's not about that. It's just people thinking you're cool. I think that just yields, number one, it yields shittier leaks because you're just sort of being indiscriminate. You're not really getting like giving people the good stuff. And then on top of that, you're like risking prison time for, like you said, for fucking clout. You're risking the possibility that you're gonna cool your heels in Leavenworth for a few years because you want your homies to think that you're cool. It's like, I don't know, it's just baffling how powerful the draw of online clout is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like, this isn't something that's planned. This is stuff that happens in the moment. Somebody says something that, makes you want to push back on it because you have, insider knowledge, or, you're having a good day and everybody in the chat's having a good time. So you're like, hey, you guys want to see something really cool? I think people just forget. I think the desire to fit in and to impress and to build oneself up far outweighs whatever commitment you've given to the place that is paying you money, whatever institution it is, that employs you. It's like there was this, long time ago, Julian and I did a video game podcast way back in the day. And we had this guy on who worked at like a major video game company, like a AAA company. And he came on to like talk about, the game and the development and all of this stuff. And it was like a great episode. And we just had like best time and learned all of this, all this stuff about this new game that was coming out. And then slowly, like over the course of the next couple weeks, he would like reach out to us and be like, oh, hey, can you guys actually like delete that one thing that I said? Cause I think I might be like breaking an NDA there. And we were like, oh yeah, no problem. We would like take the episode down, delete the thing, put it back up. Like a couple days later, he'd be like, oh man, can you guys actually, there was this other thing that I said that I definitely shouldn't have been talking about. So if you guys could delete that as well, that would be great. And then like the last email we got from him, you know where this is going. Because he was like, yeah, I think you guys are going to have to take that whole episode down. Like, I think I could get in like a lot of trouble. And it's so funny. It's just like people don't necessarily always think about the consequences, especially when it's stuff relating to this kind of like big company or this big institution that you're really just sort of a cog in anyways.
A lot of people like who are working in these things find them cool. Like, I'm sure this guy, like, some of it was information about like the war in Ukraine before things were released. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure he was like, in whatever weird right-wing way he was, like obsessed with all of the logistics for it. And I'm sure everyone in Thug Shaker Central was as well. Mm-hmm. I wonder if some of this, the change in the kind of ideological framing of certain leaks from like maybe a decade ago, where it was like this incredible piece of information or of this horrible crime has fallen on my lap, like the people have to know, to like whatever strange clout purpose is.
Yeah.
People are leaking things now, might be because I remember seeing something about how like the Air Force is dealing with like an incredibly low level of signups, the American Air Force, compared to like previous years. And if like ironically previous decades of leaks and information about American war crimes has kind of made a lot of the people that would be whistleblowers be like, I don't want to do anything in relation to the military in the first place. If some of the people in these positions are a bit more, because this guy seems like right-wing, edgy guy, like if it's that type of person who is more occupying these positions now.
Yeah, that's possible. I think that, I think probably a consequence of this is that when people start doing, or at least when the government starts doing screening for security clearances, they're going to check for clout chasing. You're like, oh, how lonely are you? How much do you want attention? How much do you want to feel cool amongst your friends online? And it's like does this seem like the kind of person who would like to seem like more, hip and sort of like in the know by leaking some information to some of his friends?
Yeah, they're like, Steven, how many hours of Counter-Strike have you played?
Have you downloaded the new Hearts of Iron 4 mod about the Russian-Ukraine war? Do you play it with your friends sometimes?
That's always wild to me. Whenever like a World War II game comes out, there's like a bunch of people that like want to play as the Nazis. And I've always been like, if it's a multiplayer game, you see somebody else on that team, you're like, oh man, you chose that. Interesting.
Yeah.
The main topic of our episode today is probably the most aggressive anti-vaccine activist working. Most anti-vaccine activists are content with just posting disinformation about vaccines, or they might make books and documentaries. If they're feeling really aggressive, they might go to like their local city council meeting and then like yell at the city council members, that kind of thing. But all of those anti-vaxxers are pretty weak compared to the man we're talking about today, Christopher Key, aka Vaccine Police. So this is a man who has traveled from state to state, bothering airplane captains, pharmacists, and even city council members in cities he does not live in.
Has he given himself the name the Vaccine Police? Is that his own sort of...
Oh, has he? Oh my God. He produces, he puts it on his shirt. He puts it on his car. He proudly embraces the label of Vaccine Police.
I'm pretty sure I saw like a Steam indie game called Vaccine Police. So we got to look into that. Maybe he's behind that as well.
It's always so funny, like, when people compare themselves to the police when they're breaking the law. Like, it's like I mean, maybe it's similar to like how a bunch of cops are obsessed with the Punisher. Where it's like the point is that he's not doing the thing you're doing. Like, he's not following, he's doing illegal stuff.
Yes, the cops believe they are vigilantes and the criminals believe that they are the police. It's great. It's perfect.
Now, something that's interesting about Christopher Key is that he's been a dedicated anti-vaxxer and pusher of quack medicine and quack sort of performance enhancers for many years. But most of that time, he's been pushing these views in total obscurity. I found a YouTube channel from this in like early 2010s in which his videos only got like hundreds of views. But the pandemic really allowed Christopher Key to like break out and gain the notoriety he has today, and even get like a small number of extremely dedicated followers on Telegram.
It's really interesting, the guys who have been obsessed with vaccines for like decades, and then like COVID happens and they're like, it's my time to shine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I've been preparing for this for decades. It's like it is like everyone's anxious and wary and sort of even a little bit, confused. So I am going to make this my time.
You're telling me millions of people have now had their brain broken in the exact same way that I've been broken for decades?
Yeah.
So Christopher Key, born 1973, he started in a pretty conventional career in fitness. He studied kinesiology at the University of Alabama, and he was a partner in a gym called Steel City Fitness. Now, some of the earliest newspaper articles I could find about him from like the early 2000s involve him like offering pretty conventional fitness advice, like dedicating yourself to an exercise routine and being consistent and sticking to it. Stuff that's very normal and healthy and stuff that you might hear from any fitness professional. But according to Christopher Key's own account, he developed his anti-vaccine stance after the birth of his twin children in 1999. They suffer from a rare genetic condition referred to as PKU. So this results in a decreased metabolism of a particular amino acid. Untreated, it can lead to very serious intellectual disabilities, but according to the National Institutes of Health, with early diagnosis, proper treatment, and a strict diet, it's possible for someone with PKU to live with normal health. But it's not easy because it requires parents, keeping their children on a special low-protein diet, and that just requires a lot of extra time and money.
Anecdotally, I have a story from my personal life that is very similar. A person whose kid was born, who was, seemingly totally regular person, not a conspiracy person or anti-vax. And when their kid was born, they had some learning disabilities, and from then on, they became like a complete anti-vaxxer. Moved out of California, moved to a more red state, like follows weird Q accounts on Instagram, like the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if people just like in an effort to just, out of the love that you have for your kid, trying to find any and all answers, you're going into forums essentially looking for other stuff, and you're coming into contact with other parents who are also like, I think it's this vaccine and here's the research,
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible. Like if when your child is suffering from something very serious and you even feel like the conventional medical establishment isn't as helpful as you wish it was, it's natural to try and explore outside that realm, and that can leave you being really good prey for anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, because nobody wants to admit that like life is fucked up and hard and random, and sometimes good people are burdened with some kind of difficult medical condition or experience or whatever. That's tough to swallow. It's like any conspiracy theory where the idea to find an explanation and to be able to understand why something is happening, even if there isn't sort of like widespread research on that conclusion.
Yeah, I feel like one factor that affects this a lot is the placebo effect. Maybe less with like someone treating their kids, but like it's frustrating if you have some sort of condition that negatively affects your health and you've just been going from like doctor to doctor and like no one's really finding anything, and then you like suddenly like grasp onto this like kind of pseudoscientific idea and put so much energy into it and put so much hope into it that like a placebo effect does affect your well-being in some way, and you're like, well, this is clearly it, and then all those doctors actually hated me and they had the truth or something and they were concealing it from me, and you can it can go pretty dark.
Yeah, my Safta, rest in peace, believed that this boxed frozen soup that you would get at the grocery store was like a cure for the common cold, and I still, whenever I feel sick, like to this day, I will go out and buy this soup. There's no science behind it, but it's just, that's how human beings are. Yeah, it's one doctor after another. It's we don't know, or we have to wait and see. And then somebody, some other parent in a play group or an aunt or a grandmother goes, yeah, well, I heard that if you chew on mint leaves, it cures it within a couple of weeks. It's just, that's how we are.
Yeah, and you get those like absurd ones when you're more desperate and trying to believe something because you've written off kind of mainstream medicine as an ability to help you. Yeah, it's tragic.
In 2000, the newspaper Birmingham Post-Herald reported about the difficulty that Chris Key and his wife had for taking care of their special needs children.
The Keys spend about $2,000 per month to feed both of their children. Their insurance company, like most in the state, won't pay for their formula and their prescribed foods. Alabama is one of the few states without a law to require insurance companies to cover the high costs of the special diet. Families must submit claims on an individual basis. Most are rejected by insurers, who often say they won't pay for a diet that consists of nutritional supplements, said Janet Isaacs, a registered dietitian at the University of Alabama. Quote, many of our families give up, Isaac said.
In order to raise money and awareness about the condition, Chris Key and his wife started an organization called Keys for PKU Foundation. They intended to use the foundation to help families who can't afford to pay for the formula, to lobby for legislation to require insurance companies to pay for special foods, and to support research to develop better-tasting formula for babies with PKU. So, the story of this anti-vax lunatic starts with a story about a man who loves his children and was failed by America's barbaric healthcare system and dedicated himself to helping other families with special needs.
Yeah, it's like, and you wonder why what's built into a lot of the sort of like holistic health remedies or the new wave medicines is a distrust of the government. I think that, that seems to be the sort of common factor in all of this, is that, it starts with feeling like, the government that you pay taxes to, the health insurance that you pay a high monthly premium to, or it's taken out of your paycheck from work is, basically useless when it comes to anything above and beyond your sort of standard regular care.
And it's sometimes like people that mistrust for government is like kind of McCarthyite neuroticism, but like sometimes people have really good reasons for not trusting the medical healthcare system and the government, etc. Even if they go off the rails, as we'll probably see here.
Right, yeah.
Christopher Key says that he was especially protective of his children's health because of their disorder, and so he was highly skeptical when his doctor offered a normal vaccine regimen.
I said, Doc, can you show me a study? Can you show me a study that schedule is safe? Because, guys, my background's in exercise physiology, kinesiology. I love doing research. My whole life has been about taking care of the temple. And I thought I was very well educated, but I only knew what I'd been taught. And he said, sure, Christopher, they're all over the place. They're everywhere. And I said, well, Doc, can I see one? He said, right now? I was like, yeah, you're about to inject my children with this new schedule of vaccines. I've got to see the research that this is safe and effective. He said, well, Christopher, nobody's ever asked me that before. And I'm like, well, brother, I'm asking you because I got to see. He said, well, Christopher, I'll have to get that for you later. And I was like, okay, well, we'll wait. You're not touching my children till I see these studies, okay? Because my twins with a rare disease, I had to test any and all things.
Can you show me a study is interesting? Because, like, I'm sure in, like, kinesiology you're not taught how to read scientific papers. And there is just a general, even in, like, some STEM degrees, a lack of any education at all about how to read scientific papers. So I wonder if that would have had some effect if he was, like, because I'm sure he has no clue how to read academic papers, which is why he's had this weird idea that, you know, the scientific data doesn't support vaccinations. I wonder if there was a change in education that we might have seen some, you know.
Well, and I feel like even with the paranoia, if the doctor produced a study, or a couple of studies, he would be like, well, and what's the University of Alabama research? Who is this? Who made the study? Why are they qualified? I want to know. Brother, I want to know.
That's why a lot of people are surprised when, like, people working in hospitals are so anti-vax. And it's like, you get a week in, like, med school for, like, viruses. Like, that's it. Like, there's no education.
Right.
No, there's no qualification here.
Though Christopher Key is best known for his anti-vax stance, that is only one part of his rejection of conventional medical science. For decades, he has promoted several treatments that are not supported by the medical establishment. And Key actually says that he took inspiration from medical scammers before him. Now, one of these pioneering medical cranks is a man with a fantastic name, Royal Raymond Rife. So
King.
Mr. Royal Rife, so I think he's fascinating enough to get an episode on his own, but in the 30s and 40s, he was a man who claimed that he invented an oscillating beam ray, which he said could disable cancer cells in microorganisms which were responsible for disease. So he basically said that he could just zap away all ailments. So in his day, he got some newspapers and scientific journals to go along with his claims, but they were ultimately rejected by medical associations and mainstream science. Of course, this rejection of Rife's ideas was attributed to a conspiracy by the medical establishment to suppress a disease cure. Another one of Christopher Key's heroes is Lynn Kenny. This was a man who claimed that he could cure cancer and AIDS similarly by also using a ray beam emitter. So
Popular. The beams are popular.
The beams, it sounds plausible. Someone says, I'm going to fix you with a beam. I can't immediately say no.
They're like, but surely the beam, cuts into me, right, and opens it up, and you're going to have to stitch me back up. And they're like, no, sir. The beam it's a spot of light. We aim it at an area, and that's about it. Well, it's going to make me, like, nauseous and stuff, right? Nope, not at all. In fact, very few side effects. You might feel a small tingling, at the sort of laser spot, but that's it.
So these guys are basically like anti-James Bond villains.
Yeah, people willingly strap themselves on the table as the beam makes its way, towards their nether regions.
In 2001, the FDA wrote Lynn Kenny a warning letter informing him that his beam ray claims constitute, quote, a serious violation of the law.
A man can't claim they have a beam that cures cancer nowadays.
No. Apparently the regulators frowned upon that. Coincidentally, Lynn Kenny happened to live just down the street from Christopher Key's childhood home in Birmingham, Alabama. Christopher Key liked the work of these cranks so much that he said that the people who have done the most for humanity are Lynn Kenny, Royal Rife, Nikola Tesla, and Jesus Christ.
I bet Royal Rife is like, he's not surprised with that comparison. He's like, well, yeah, I often get compared to Jesus.
But also in this case, like, didn't his, like, life-saving technology get suppressed? Like, hasn't he not done that much? Like, maybe if the
point.
The powers that be didn't cover it up, he would have done a lot.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think Christ's life-saving technology is basically can be found on, the corner of every street in America.
Well, yeah, that's why he was much bigger success.
Yeah, much bigger.
I have to say, in my line of work, sort of like being vocally supportive of Nikola Tesla is a big red flag. Now, it should be the case. This is a guy who made actual serious major contributions to electronic engineering. But whenever someone is a little bit too enthusiastic about the work of Tesla, it either means that, maybe they're kind of like a nerd who likes the idea of his like rivalry with Edison or something, or it means that he thinks that he invented like time travel and free electricity.
Right. Yeah. They love Tesla for the technology that never came out. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's interested in like anything Tesla actually did that's like recorded. They're only interested in like what was suppressed or like things that he had discovered but like were destroyed, you know?
Yeah, to be fair to Tesla hate, like he kind of did pull like a Kenny, because I know Tesla said that he had like a death ray and he wanted to sell it to the Tsar for them to win World War One, which I don't think he had that. I think that was a goof by Tesla.
I mean, like Newton believed in like alchemy and shit. So I mean, if you're a scientific mind, you can go off the rails.
That's true.
You know what's so fucked up is that every time I hear Nikola Tesla's name, I only picture David Bowie because that's who played him in the film The Prestige. Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
It's a classic.
Of course. Okay, classic. Yeah, all right.
Now, fortunately, Christopher Key didn't get started in the world of quack treatments by falsely claiming to cure cancer and AIDS. He actually started working for a company called 8, and that's spelled with the number 8, then IGHT. So there's a number 8 where the E is supposed to be. I don't quite get it, but that's how it's spelled.
Yeah, I think the correct pronunciation, Travis, is 8. Aight?
Aight? All right.
That's so stupid. 8, aight? All right, and what did the company do?
So they sold holographic stickers. So the users of this product are instructed to tape the stickers to acupuncture points, and this somehow stimulates greater health. So this is clearly woo-woo bullshit. But here's how the product was pitched in a promotional video.
Through acupuncture medicine, your body's able to retrieve information using holograms to achieve balance, harmony, and better health. Simply place the 8 holographic disc on the appropriate acupuncture point. Quantum technology then stimulates these acupuncture points. The body's biofield conducts the signals, activating the body's acupuncture meridians. Just peel and stick.
Yeah, absolutely insane. So that's pretty crazy, but it actually gets worse when you hear why they call the product 8. So they claim that the shape of the number 8 itself has some sort of healing effect. So this is some of the company's batshit sales copy.
Of particular interest is the number 8. It became apparent early on with machine testing that the number 8 had a positive influence on the body. And if the sign of infinity was added to the number 8, the effect was magnified. We then added an octagon around the double 8s, and the energetic effect improved again. 8 then started doing research around the world and found numerous references to the number 8 in every culture.
Okay.
I mean, sure. The Chinese started the Olympics on 8808 at 8:08 p.m. to bring good fortune and success to the Olympic Games. So we lasered the geometric and numeric 8 patterns in the center of all 8 holograms, and the influence of 8 is there for everywhere.
The idea that a hologram, which is essentially like a visual optical illusion, can have any medical properties whatsoever is like Donald Trump level of science.
And like, we found the number 8 in every culture. It's like, I hope so. It's a pretty small number. Like, it's gonna come up.
We did some research. We found that no matter where you go in the world, people count things. Amazing.
The funniest would be if he was like, I've looked into 15 other cultures' languages. The numbers, they go from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 9. And there are very few cultures, in fact, even utter the number 8.
According to a report in Sports Illustrated, the company 8 fired Christopher Key for exaggerating the benefits of its products. Now, I wish we had more details of what that was like. They didn't specify what this exaggeration, because they're already claiming that the stickers activate the quantum field and the number 8 has energetic effects. So how, it's like, what happens? Like, Chris, you're going way off script. You gotta say that the number 8 heals pain. You can't just say what you're saying.
I wonder what claims he made that were like, too far out there for 8.
In the early 2010s, Christopher Key got national attention as an athletic performance scammer, which, I'll say that's a little bit more honest work. So if you tell athletes that they can do certain things in order to perform better and it doesn't work, I mean, that's bad, but, it's still misleading people. But usually, like, the worst that happens is that they won't compete as well as they'd like to. So it's not as bad as, like, telling people you have a secret cure to disease and pain and it doesn't work.
I feel like athletes believe a bunch of weird stuff. about how their body performs anyways. You know, it's a wash.
Yeah, right. They're athletes, they're superstitious people. They're going to fall for something anyway, so, whatever. Christopher Key and a partner founded a company called Sports with Alternatives to Steroids, or SWATs. This company offered quack performance enhancers at a time when athletes were looking for an edge that wouldn't get them banned. So the NCAA, now technically they've tested student athletes for drugs since the 80s, but like in the 2000s, they started to crack down a lot harder on doping. And this included even testing athletes in the summer months. So it's not like they could get away with getting juiced in the off season and just, stopping when the time came for them to be tested. That meant athletes were trying to find a way to get an advantage without taking something like anabolic steroids that would get them kicked off the team. And that's why Christopher Key's company had an enticing offer. He said that basically they could get steroid-like benefits without cheating. For example, they claimed that cell phone frequencies damage athletic performance, but this could be fixed through the use of these special holographic stickers that were placed on the body.
So he's still going with the hologram stickers, even in the new company.
He is still going with the hologram stickers to this day, actually. So
okay,
doesn't let it go.
All right. I appreciate someone who's stuck to their, who's believed the same thing for the last 20 years.
It's kind of fucked up that Nate fired him for believing in the product so much. Because I feel like that's probably what's going on here.
Too enthusiastic.
Yeah. They were like, you dummy, we're ripping these people off. Come on.
The company also claimed that a special spray made from deer antlers could stimulate muscle growth because it contained large amounts of IGF-1, which is a natural anabolic hormone. Now, unsurprisingly, there was nothing connecting these claims to reality. Despite that, Christopher Key managed to attract the attention of serious athletes. In 2012, Key and his partner pitched their products to members of the Alabama Crimson Tide college football team, which won the SEC championship that year. So he managed to get the interest of some of the best college football players in the country. In 2013, Sports Illustrated ran a report headlined "Snake Oil for Sale and the Athletes Who, Science Be Damned, Think It Might Work."
So yeah, it is the placebo is helping these athletes who are like, yeah, deer antlers make me run faster, sure.
Yeah.
Who cares?
They think about a deer. If you imagine a deer, you're like, it's fast. It's nimble, it can get away from prey. And then you think about the antlers, you're like strong. It's from nature. It's gritty. It's just, you could, run it full speed into a tree or a pair of another antlers that are attached to a opposing deer. Not all that dissimilar from a linebacker, running into the opposition on the start of a play.
Yeah, the way the placebo effects work, he's selling the dumbest form of snake oil, and then that's working for serious athletes.
Yeah. The spray was a genius idea because if it was deer antler drops that you have to kind of put 4 at a time on your bald spot or whatever, I don't think it doesn't feel right. But a spray, I mean, how could you go wrong?
Do you think this is a gamer girl bathwater thing where it turned out that she wasn't actually selling real bathwater? It was just water, and it was oh, they won't notice. Who knows what sprayed deer antler smells like?
Yeah, is he going to PetSmart and buying the antlers that the dogs are supposed to chew on? I got a couple on the floor right behind me, and just grinding them down, putting them in water. I mean, that's what I would do if I were him. Easiest solution.
That report described how Christopher Key presented his solutions to the athletes.
Stocky and genial, with short black hair carefully curled at his forehead, Key began by telling the players that there would be thousands of cell phones in the Superdome the following night, and that frequencies from those phones would be swirling through their bodies. They're going to affect you guys very negatively, Key said, rapidly and with a twang. Key passed out his remedy for the frequencies, stickers, which he calls chips, bearing holograms of a pyramid. Key told the players that on game day, they should place the chips on 3 acupuncture points, one on the inside of each wrist before they tape their arms. The chips also come embedded in bracelets, and one over the heart. It's going to help your heart have so much more energy, he said. Come the 4th quarter, you guys will not be gassed at all. Like the star of an infomercial, flush with catchphrases. Guys, this stuff is beyond real. Key also showed the players gallon jugs of quote-unquote negatively charged water, which he claimed would afford them better hydration because it adheres like a magnet to the body's cells.
It's the opposite of holy water.
Yeah, exactly. Negative water. This water, it'll make you real mean. Real hateful. Then he held up a canister containing a powder additive to be mixed in water or juice that he said had put muscle mass on a woman who was in a coma and an oscillating, quote, beam ray light bulb that could, quote, knock out the swine flu virus in 90 minutes.
Why are they trying it on a woman in a coma? She can't
Very
consent to this.
strange. Very strange. Very strange example to give when reporters are watching. Finally, he pulled out a bottle of deer antler spray, which also comes in pill form. "We have deer that we harvest out of New Zealand," Key said. "Their antlers are the fastest growing substance on planet Earth. Because of the high concentration of IGF-1, we've been able to freeze dry that out, extract it, put it in a sublingual spray that you shake for 20 seconds, and then you spray 3 times under your tongue. This stuff has been around for almost 1,000 years. This is stuff from the Chinese," alleging that the NFL warned players away from SWAT spray because it's a threat to, quote, big pharma. Key boasted that SWAT's is, quote, the most controversial supplement company on Earth.
I didn't realize they were like ingesting the antlers. That's so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
That is so. I thought they were just gonna like spray it on their elbow or something.
Yeah, like perfume or whatever before the big game.
Oof, that's gotta taste rough.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the deer antler thing is bullshit. It doesn't work, and it's pretty worthless. But actually, it gained some fame after Chris Key convinced NFL linebacker Ray Lewis to use it to treat an injury. So,
how did this guy even get an audience with these folks? I mean, this is insane levels of access.
Well, I think it's two things. It's like, number one, it's like he has a degree in what he's talking about. He has some experience working in the fitness industry. I'm sure he met some college athletes as part of working in a gym. And then also he started making these extraordinary claims to be like, "Oh, I know exactly how to give you an edge." And man, athletes, if someone tells them that they have the secret to an edge, they're going to listen. I actually found Christopher Key's bodybuilding.com forum messages from this era. So he made just 5 posts in 2011 before he was banned. And it's pretty clear that he was banned for spamming the same message over and over again. He pitched a product called Mojo wristbands, and this is like basically a variation of the same like holographic healing technology bullshit. So this message he posted in all caps: "Mojo wristbands work. I can prove it. Email me. I will give you the proof, or go to YouTube and put in Mojo Chris Key and check out the demo I did at University of Alabama. Call me at," and then he posted his actual phone number. So responses to this message from other members of bodybuilding.com often included just the word "what," W-A-T. They were very confused. No, I think this is interesting because, like, right now, Christopher Key, he's banned from Twitter, he's banned from Facebook, but it's important to remember that he's a veteran of being banned from web forums. He's been doing it since the early 2010s.
So yeah, he's been in this like insane conservative kind of fugue state for like decades that like conservatives have just gotten into, like following January 6th and like COVID. He's really got a head start on all this.
He did. He's like, he finally realized that the rest of the country was on his level.
Yeah, it's like what they say about anxious people in a moment of crisis. Your sort of level of anxiety that you're always at. Now the people around you are with you, and you can become their king.
Eventually, his business, SWATs, collapsed due to aggressive lying. In September of 2013, the Alabama Attorney General Luther Strange filed a civil complaint against SWATs alleging at least 264 violations of the Deceptive Trade Practices Act.
Is this because they had 264 products?
I don't. A judge issued a restraining order against the business, and it was raided by the Jefferson County Attorney General and County Sheriff's Office, and its assets were turned over to a court-appointed receiver. So they got absolutely cleaned out.
Yeah, so it sounds like SWATs ended up being the ones swatted themselves. An apt ending to a unfortunately named company.
So though in the past couple of years, Christopher Key, he gained some notoriety for being a nuisance to people over vaccines, but this is behavior he has engaged in for over a decade. So in Alabama, one can get an exemption from vaccine requirements if the vaccination conflicts with sincerely held religious beliefs. In 2012, Key posted a video of himself leaving the Shelby County Health Department in Alabama after asking for a stack of these medical exemption forms. And in the video, he recounts an exchange he had with a clerk there.
I asked her, would she please give me 20 more forms to take back to anybody that did not want to get immunized. And she said, no, sir, I cannot. I cannot and I will not. And I said, why? And she said, well, you've been inconvenient, haven't you? I said, yes, ma'am, I have. She said, well, they'll have to be inconvenient also. I said, that's not right. You know, why can't you make this simple? Give me the forms so that I can take these people back the forms so they don't have to take the shots. And she said, it's policy. And I said, okay, ma'am, if it's policy, will you show me the policy? And that's when she kind of said, no, sir, I don't have to show you that. I've taken all the time I'm going to take with you, and you need to have a blessed day. Very interesting.
He's like, I will definitely have a blessed day, okay? Even if I am walking away without an additional 30 forms.
I was expecting that to be more public freakouty.
Yeah, a little bit more confrontational.
Maybe this escalates later.
Yeah, it does. He gets increasingly, I guess, belligerent. But I just want to emphasize that the belligerence was always there. It just, I guess, made him who he is thanks to the pandemic.
Right.
At some point during the pandemic, he created the vaccine police persona. So this has included a polo shirt with the words vaccine police and a fake badge that dangles around his neck. So I'm not sure when he exactly decided to be the vaccine police, but he registered his website, vaccinepolice.com, in June of 2021. I got a picture there for you.
Yeah, he's looking happier than ever. There is a young blonde woman hanging on his shoulder. He is wearing a badge and a uniform that says vaccine police on the front left breast pocket. And just looking generally happy and cut, you know?
This is like if police uniforms were designed by an extremely gay man in Florida. I would describe.
Yes, this man is at a gay Halloween party.
Yeah.
Christopher Key went public with his vaccine police persona in August of 2021. There, he and 6 of his followers traveled to Springfield, Missouri. He went there after being invited to a rally protesting the Springfield-based Mercy Hospital's COVID-19 vaccine mandates. He and his followers also went to a Springfield Walmart, where he repeatedly told the pharmacists there that they would be executed for their crimes against humanity. He warned that the pharmacists were violating the Nuremberg Code by administering COVID-19 vaccines. Now, this caused the workers to close the pharmacy for their own protection. I tried to get the full video of this, but it's been I could only find small clips. It's been scrubbed. Like I said, his Facebook has been taken down.
Damn, that's gotta suck so bad if you're a pharmacist. You're already dealing with people who are like, oh, the spray isn't in there, but my insurance should have called, my doctor should have called, or people being like, oh, well, my insurance is supposed to pay for this, but it's $300. I don't. And then they've got a guy who's coming in being like, you're gonna be executed for crimes against humanity. It's like, I would close down too. That's a half day as far as I'm concerned.
This is definitely Punisher energy. He's taking the law into his own hands.
Yeah, in his mesh vaccine police vest.
The day after that, Chris Key filmed himself confronting Steve Edwards, the president and CEO of the Springfield-based company Cox Health. Key served Edwards papers which he said show that Edwards had committed these crimes against humanity by imposing a vaccine mandate.
How did he find him? He found him in a parking lot. That's got to be some psychopathic level of stalking.
That's a good question. I guess I don't know, but I assume he just sort of stalked out his place of business and wait till he went home for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cox Health, you really need to up your security. If you've got the vaccine police able to corner your CEO in a parking lot, you're really dropping the ball.
Christopher Key also went to a Springfield City Council meeting where he threatened the city council members, again, with committing crimes against humanity.
You've all trespassed on your oath of office. When the governor mandates this, we, the people, will be coming back here with the sheriff, with the attorney general, and we will be arresting the governor. And you also, if you do not stand down, because every one of you have violated your oath of office, and we, the people, will not take this any longer.
These incidents were so serious that they were covered by the Washington Post and prompted the American Pharmacists Association to issue a statement.
We deplore the intimidation and verbal assaults directed towards pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, and other pharmacy personnel earlier this week at a pharmacy in Springfield, Missouri. The agitators' arguments are clearly absurd and pull attention away from critically needed, factual information that our patients and the public deserve.
So Christopher Key, he loves getting into confrontations and then filming himself in that confrontation. For example, he filmed himself fighting with an airline pilot after he was kicked off a plane for not wearing a mask.
Oh, God.
Plane, right? You're the captain of this ship, and you're denying me service on this plane.
I'm not denying. Our company policy is.
No, but you're denying me access to it. So I can get on the plane then. Is that? Can I get on the plane or not? That's what I'm asking. You said you're not denying me, because you're denying me. I need to know that because I need to follow lawsuit against you and this guy too.
Our company policy is denying you the ability to get on the plane.
Okay.
So can you head up there right now, please?
I will go up there.
You want me to get security?
No, I'm just saying, I'll go up there. And can I shake your hand? I don't believe what you're doing is correct, but I'd like to shake your hand because I think you're following orders. And in the Nuremberg trial, they followed orders. You know what happened to them, right? Okay. You know what happened to them? Now, don't push me. Don't push me. Don't put your hand on me. Don't push me.
You put your hand on me first.
I shook your hand. I shook your hand. I shook your hand.
One of these first.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So these people right here are the ones that are denying me access to fly, guys, because I have an exemption called God, and God's law is the only law that applies that allows me to fly uninhibited. And these guys are disallowing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, okay?
So he's the God police. Those are the laws he's following.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
of course, Liv. The
Right.
omnipotent cloud ruler that's been written about in, some books.
My favorite part of the Bible is the stuff where he talks about airplanes.
Yeah, air travel 14:3.
In December of 2021, Christopher Key really started going off the rails. On Telegram, he started brandishing weapons, and this included a flamethrower. He posted a video of himself projecting flames from the flamethrower while yelling anti-vax rhetoric.
What we're going to do with this right here, guys, all those bioweapons that we have that are not vaccines, they all need to be lined up, and they need to be exterminated. We need to get rid of the bioweapons. That's what we're going to do with this right here, guys. Get rid of the bioweapons. They are not, I repeat, they're not a vaccine. They're a bioweapon. This is not a pandemic. It is a pandemic.
It's crazy the amount of things you need to say as a leftist to get the FBI at your door. And then this guy can be like, we're lining up all the vaccinated people and burning them alive. And there's just nothing.
Yeah, this guy is in a public park, it looks like. There are residential houses, 100 feet away. He's got this giant flamethrower. Where did he even get that? Did he build it himself?
That's actually a flamethrower from Elon Musk's Boring Company, I believe.
Oh, it is one of the Elon flamethrowers?
No, it wasn't, but that'd be very funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only place that I can think of if I wanted to go buy a flamethrower or something. But he's very lucky. That can go very badly if the fuel spills out or it backfires. I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason that flamethrowers aren't the preferred weapon of most individuals.
My idea of America is not necessarily antithetical with the idea that you can just go out and buy a flamethrower. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
You basically can. You can order it, I guess, online.
Can't you buy RPGs or something? I was seeing something about that.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, probably in places like Arizona or something where the gun laws are really, really loose, you could probably get a couple crazy things.
I mean, hey.
Bazooka.
Chris Key also kept threatening to arrest people. For example, he threatened to arrest the governor of Louisiana, John Bel Edwards, while talking on Clay Clark's podcast.
Again, I am the vaccine police. I realized 23 years ago there's nobody policing the vaccine companies, the CDC, the AMA, the FDA. So we, the people, are doing that, and the vaccine police is doing that, and we're doing a very good job. Clay, we have shut down pharmacies, we have shut down boards of education, and we will be arresting the governor of Louisiana on February the 7th if he does not stand down and not vaccinate the children of Louisiana. We will do this legally, we will do this lawfully, we will do this out of love, because right now they're trying to start a civil war, Clay, and they're coming for our children, and we have to stop this, and we have to stop this now, because again, you guys have shown everybody that we have the evidence now that proves this is not, I repeat, this is not a vaccine. This is a bioweapon. This is not a pandemic. This is a pandemic, and we have to prove this. We have to show this, and we have to speak up and stand out and show people what is going on, Clay.
Who is we in this situation?
I guess the people in the populist imagination,
or the other police officers.
Yeah, because it seems like some of these videos, it's clearly taken as like he wants to go viral with it. Like I just need like one viral video, and then the people will rise up and join my police force.
Yeah. I also think he was wrong about like all three reasons he gave, that this was legally, lawfully, and out of love. I think it's probably not legal, it's not lawful, and probably more out of hate, I would imagine.
But it's God's law that it's lawful. You got to consider that. It's important.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sure.
Around this time, he also upped his branding game. He got his car wrapped. So he has a vehicle here, a very nice car. I have a picture of it for you. You see it has the Vaccine Police website URL on it. It also says vaccines kill. It also has a little graphic of the Constitution on it. It's a nice wrap job.
Do you think he tried to write this off as taxes?
Well,
probably. Wraps can get expensive. I mean, all the printing and the labor. I mean, I gotta say, this is pretty awesome. The car looks sweet.
Yeah.
This looks like something maybe you would drive in Twisted Metal or Vigilante 8, one of the car combat games. Pretty sweet. I like the choice of colors. I like the font that he chose. I like the sort of, the skull and crossbones, but with the two needles underneath where the bones are. I mean, it's pretty cool looking.
In early 2022, his antics started getting him in real serious trouble with the law. So in April of the previous year, he was asked to leave a Whole Foods in Alabama for refusing to wear a mask. And when he refused to leave, he was charged with third-degree trespassing. Now, this is a minor charge. It's a ticket, whatever. But when he appeared in court in Jefferson County over the charge, he was arrested for refusing to wear a mask and recording with his phone inside the courtroom.
Just like stepping on a rake and then like just consecutively stepping on more and more.
While in jail, he took the time to call Stu Peters and explain in his own words what happened.
They had agreed to allow me to do Zoom because they understood I had a medical religious exemption. So they moved us into a room, and we got everything set up to do Zoom, and then the bailiff came back and said, Christopher, she's now saying that you have to wear a mask, and if you don't, then, he said, I don't know what's going to happen. I said, what do you mean? And so I started recording my camera again, and the other officer came out and said, you can't be recording. I said, look, the law clearly states that anybody can record. The only person that needs permission is the press. And he said, take that off. And I'm like, no. So he walked back inside and then came back out and said, sir, you're being arrested. And I said, for what? He said, you're being arrested. And I said, why? And he said, you're being arrested. They took my camera from me. They brought me back in through the judges in front of the court, and the judge said, if you do not put a mask on, you're going to jail. And they said, he cannot say anything, take him to jail. And I've got no bond. I have no idea what has happened. I don't know. There's nothing that says I was in contempt of court or anything. What she did say, I heard through the door, was that because I did not put a mask on, that was failure to appear. So this is crazy, Stu, and I just want everybody to know that I'm safe as of right now. I'm not suicidal. I love life. I would never kill myself, and I know it's ridiculous for me to have to say that. But we're over the target, brother. And what we're doing is God's work, helping God's children, and more importantly, the people of the world now. And we got to stop this.
What does he think he's going to do? Like, this is going to go to the Supreme Court? They're going to decide that he was in the right?
That's a good question. I don't know what the fuck his end game is, because it is pretty clear that no amount of legal consequences or social resistance is making him rethink his stance. In fact, it's causing him to double down. It's that over the target thing. The more people argue with me, the more people, threaten me with prison time, the worse and worse it gets for me. That actually means the more right I am.
The more rakes I step on, etc.
Yeah. See all of these puncture wounds in my forehead. That lets you know how right I am. You know what's crazy, though, is this guy's like a little bit of a grab bag. I feel like there's a little bit of sovereign citizen in him. There's a little bit of QAnon. There's a little bit of the sort of new age, holistic sort of medical treatments. He really personifies, kind of all the ways a modern person can be pilled.
He really is just America right now. He's history on horseback, the world spirit.
He is the vaccine police.
He has actually also claimed that he doesn't need a driver's license in order to operate a car, and this is something he got from sovereign citizen beliefs. While his anti-government rhetoric was getting more extreme, his medical quackery was also getting more extreme. He started recommending that people engage in what he called urine therapy, which is, of course, drinking your own piss. He pitched this idea to a room full of supporters while wearing a shirt that has a picture of Nikola Tesla's face on it. And what I really like about his pitch is the stunned silence that came after he revealed the recommendation.
And I've been practicing this for 20 years, and everybody's always said I'm cray-cray, and I am, but I'm crazy like a fox, okay? And guys, when I tell you this, please, take it with a grain of salt, but go do the research, okay? Because this is going to just be like, there's no way. But the antidote, and I'm going to kill my credibility. But what credibility do I have anyway? So, hey, the antidote that we've seen now, and we have tons and tons of research, is urine therapy. Okay? And I know to a lot of you, this sounds crazy, but guys, God's given us everything we need. Okay?
Mm-hmm. God has given you everything, including your own urine. A gift from God, but only when it's light yellow, okay? When it's like kind of like amber and dark, that's a gift from the devil.
Do you think this is like a sublimation of something sexual? Like, why would you go to drinking urine? Where's the motivation here?
I could not begin to understand how he came to this conclusion. I also thought that the grain of salt line was funny, much like the high salt content of his own urine.
Yeah, I mean, did all of these guys just watch like Waterworld like back in the 90s and saw Kevin Costner drinking his own piss? And that's where the idea came from? I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder, all of these guys, they basically think movies are real, and the more fantastical the movie, the more of a secret truth it's revealing. Maybe Kevin Costner has a lot to answer for.
I'd like to get him on the show and ask him about that scene and every other scene in Waterworld.
Okay. Now, in fairness to Christopher Key, he emphasized that he's not actually claiming to give medical advice as a doctor.
I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not telling anybody to drink their own urine, but I drink my own urine. I've drink my own urine for the last 23 years, and I'm still alive, and I drink bleach. Not bleach, I drink chlorine dioxide. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. This guy's full of energy. He's got a full head of hair. He seems happy. I don't know.
Maybe it's the decades of piss drinking.
I've been having energy problems recently, and I think it might be anemia. Maybe I should fix this. Guy seems to have more energy than I do.
Yeah.
Now, Christopher Key's antics are apparently too out there for even some far-right and anti-vaccine activists. In April of last year, he attempted to enter the Take Action for Freedom tour in Florida. So this event featured big-name anti-vaxxers like Robert Malone and Peter McCullough, but the organizers of that event weren't happy with his presence, so they reported him to the police as a trespasser. He refused police requests to leave the property and was again arrested.
He's just having to do like sovereign citizen stuff everywhere he goes, even in like anti-vax places.
You would think if I done, let's say I did my own research, right? And I, happened upon a sovereign citizen community and got pilled on it. And the next time I got, pulled over to traffic stop or whatever, I used my sovereign citizen skills and I ended up in jail. You know what? I would be like, well, that shit didn't work. All right, I got to like move on to the next thing. Like that clearly didn't work. I'm in jail. This guy's now been arrested twice. You got to wonder, it's like, but I said the magic code word to like not get arrested, and yet here I am in the jail appearing before a judge. What has to happen in somebody's brain where they go like, well, it's the law that's wrong. It's not like my sovereign citizen beliefs. Like those are definitely real and true. It's this, these fascist oppressors instead. Not saying that the police aren't fascist oppressors, but you guys know what I mean.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like, American tenacity. Like if you give it your all and you try, it doesn't work. What the fuck are you gonna do? Give up like a little bitch? No, you just double down and keep going.
He's a contrarian in his heart, fundamentally.
They should have never given us the American dream.
Now, of course, he's so extreme. He's being rejected from, I guess, more conventional anti-vaxxers who are already fringe. And he's getting arrested. And so what does he do? But he gets even more extreme. So what he does is that he starts pushing med beds. Med beds, this is basically the Elysium bullshit. This idea that there are these pods that you could lie in, and it just heals you with super advanced technology.
Particle beams, dude. It's what all the guys have been trying for years. Is they finally, that's finally perfected it.
So he pushed these med beds on Sue Peters' show, which apparently is his last ally.
So are these med beds real?
Stu, this technology is beyond real. And we have access to it, and we just brought it to Boynton, Florida, and you can see it right behind me, brother. And the things that are happening with this bed is unbelievable.
Perhaps more painful than the rejection from other anti-vaxxers is his rejection from Trump himself. So recently at Mar-a-Lago, there was an auction to have dinner with Trump and Trump Jr. And this was an auction that Christopher Key won. So he was very excited. He actually said that this was an opportunity to ask Trump some tough questions, like why exactly he's so supportive of vaccine. What was the deal with Operation Warp Speed?
They had an auction to have dinner with Don Jr. when his father will be in town, so you get to be with both of them. And the vaccine police was able to win that auction. So what my plan is, guys, on April 29th, is when I will be breaking my fast. And my plan is to have dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Don Jr. and his father and ask him the questions that are really concerning to me.
I think Trump deserves to have to talk to guys like this forever.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, man. If you're going to fleece these people, at least you're going to have to listen to them. At least that's a small semblance of justice.
Yeah, Don Jr. is like, Dad, okay, we've got Chris from, what does it say here? The vaccine police. Oh, God. And Trump's like, oh, my God. Vaccine police. Oh, my God. How long do we have? He's like, how long is the dinner supposed to be? And they're like, I don't know. I think we guaranteed him an hour at least. He's like, oh, God, all right. Okay. How did he win? Did he pay just an exorbitant amount of money? Because I noticed they didn't say lottery. They said auction, which means that in my understanding that whoever pays the most wins the auction.
Yeah, good point. I don't know where the hell he's getting his money because it might be just his anti-vaccine followers, or just pumping cash to him.
Right. Or he's selling a lot of deer antler spray.
Maybe he's raised money to hold Trump accountable for warp speed.
Yeah, it's interesting that he doesn't say Donald Trump's name in that video, or he doesn't refer to him as the president or the former president. Less likely, but he doesn't. He only says Don Jr. and his father. So I'm going to be with his father.
That's a really funny way of referring to Trump. Is Don Jr.'s dad?
That is really funny.
Now, however, this dinner didn't happen. Apparently, Trump or someone in the Trump org realized who Christopher Key was, and they didn't want to deal with his bullshit. So they returned his money. And Christopher Key explained how he was canceled by Donald Trump in a video he filmed while he was walking down the beach. And that explains why there is the roar of waves in the background.
I got some bad news last night where I've been told that Donald Jr. Trump and President Trump has canceled me. They have canceled the vaccine police. They are returning my check for my donation that I won in the auction, and I will not be breaking my fast on the 29th at Mar-a-Lago with Don Jr. and the President. I will not be doing that. Why? I believe they did the research and they realized who I was, and they realized that I would ask the tough questions. I would not be the talking parrot from the television. That I would be asking President Trump why he is continuing to push this bioweapon, because it will kill billions of people. I would be asking him why he's allowed for this pedophilia to go around. Why has he allowed them to continue to poison our water, our food, our supplements, our air? Why? Why? Because he is nothing but a puppeteer. Hey guys, that's what you have to understand. These presidents, these people in power, they're not elected by we the people. They are put in power because they took an oath, I believe, to Satan. Every single one of them. That's what I believe.
That video was published just a couple weeks ago, and that's basically where Christopher Key is right now. He is a man more or less on his own. He's too fringe for the anti-vax community. He's too toxic for Trump. He's just left walking down the Florida beach, getting sunburned, starved because he's fasting, complaining to a small number of cult-like followers on Telegram about how he's been canceled by the Satan-worshipping Trump. And I don't know what's going to happen next because, like I said, he's very alienated. He's very desperate. He is, again, he's shown a willingness to get more and more and more extreme, regardless of how much it costs him. So, yeah, interesting to see what happens next.
If he really wanted to meet the president or the former president, he probably shouldn't have gotten arrested twice. I think that they probably look that stuff up. They go,
good point.
They go,
They
okay,
probably
let's
do a
see, the
background
vaccine
check,
police, this is already sus. Let's see, what do we know about this guy? They go, arrested twice for trespassing, failure to appear. Oof, yeah, we probably don't want this guy. He's gonna ask you, some crazy shit. But so we know he paid for it. We know he paid. He said they returned my check.
Yeah. I'm sure he said some weird stuff about Trump before that they've picked up on maybe. Or is he like coming out now and saying that he thinks Trump is like aligned with Satan? Like he can finally come out and say it.
I think it's like he has like, obviously he's complained. This is often a complaint of anti-vaxxers, Trump's support for vaccines. So he's voiced that before. But as far as I'm aware, this is the first time he's come out and said that actually Trump signed a pact with Satan, which is a pretty extreme and a sort of weird thing for someone on the far right to say.
I guess like all his politics is just like the people who push back against me are bad. And like now Trump is literally directly pushing back against you. So he must be Satan.
Well, yeah. And if you're a hardliner, no vaccine, and somebody isn't also a hardliner, no vaccine. I mean, this is what this guy's been pushing for like 20 years. Like what, he's going to like compromise his true values because of some asshole like Donald Trump? No way, no how. He doesn't care. What's fascinating though, is that he's calling into Stu Peters. I mean, he is using QAnon language that positions Trump as the ultimate hero, and it's like it's weird. It's weird to see somebody that is embracing many other aspects of QAnon, but not Donald Trump, who's a totally central figure to the conspiracy.
Yeah, maybe it's like he's been like on anti-vax stuff by himself for so long. He's like, I don't need this new wave. I'll be here in 20 years when no one cares about this again, God willing.
Yeah.
I was there 20 years ago.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is not the last that we'll see of Christopher Keyes. His outspokenness and his willingness to get arrested, I'm sure will bring him into our own airspace again in the future. But I wish him well. Thanks for listening to another episode of the QAnon Anonymous podcast. You can go to patreon.com/QAnon Anonymous and subscribe for $5 a month to get a whole second episode every single week. There's 2 other series as well that you'll get access to. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. It helps us stay advertising free and editorially independent. For everything else, we have a website, QAnonanonymous.com.
Listener, until next week, may the deep piss bless you and keep you.
It's not a conspiracy, it's fact.
And now, today's auto cue.
Everybody is living with pain. Everybody has so much pain in their body and whatnot. This is a little chip that you can take and you can put anywhere on your body you have pain. This little chip is a hologram where we're able to store information into the hologram, and then we put it in the energy field, it resonates. And when I took this to my professors at Alabama many years ago, and they did the clinical study on it, they're like, Christopher, how in the world is this doing this? It's nothing but a sticker. Guys, it's not just a sticker. It is energy. It is frequency. Everything is frequency. Everything is energy. Okay?